You basically find out that the whole thing is being orchestrated by a weirdo fucking furry. The movie's about a pervert furry.
He's a pervert furry.
He's coming.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Exciting.
This is like one of the first movies that I've been to where I really felt old.
Yes, we were surrounded by a lot of young people in a very packed theater, which I was not expecting.
I walked in late to meet you,
Yeah.
and I was shocked at how many people were actually
Not
in the
an
theater.
empty seat in the house.
Now I know that this game's been around. There's many sequels to the game, and
Yeah,
I know that it's
very popular.
a game franchise. But I didn't realize that it was that popular amongst the youths.
This game is popular? What?
It's a very simple game. The original one came out in 2014.
Yeah.
And I remember when it came out, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I played it a couple times. It amassed this following that I just didn't even know existed. I didn't even know there was more than one game until recently. And then I find out there's like 8 games, there's books, there's fan fiction, there's like side game, there's all this whole world.
Right.
And it was like, okay, so this does warrant a film, I guess.
Now,
And-
I wanted to play the game before we saw the film. I just didn't have time. My week was very busy. But, you know, I kind of wanted to walk in
Fresh,
getting the vibe of the game and and seeing if that translated over to film.
Right.
All of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, there hasn't been that video game adaptation yet that's like really
true to the game.
captured the spirit of the game, you know?
Yeah. And now, because
And-
I have played it, well, I played 2 of them. I played the first one and I played the 4th one. It's very simple mechanics, so
Right.
you can really go a lot of different directions with it, but there is like the lore behind the game. From what I've played and from what was on screen, it seemed like they really captured it and they did their due diligence with it.
Well, what helps is when the credits were going in the beginning, I noticed that the guy who created the games also wrote the screenplay.
Yes, which was really cool to see.
That's a fantastic step forward when it comes
Yeah.
to doing a video game adaptation.
And, you know, the movie was rated PG-13. So right off the bat, we were like, ugh, it should be rated R. It's a horror movie. But
I
then,
actually forgot that it was PG-13, but then once the killing started happening in the beginning, it was those pussy cutaways. And I thought this would benefit from being rated R.
Right.
But as you had said...
But, because you haven't played the game,
Yes.
The game really doesn't lean into any of that.
Right.
You spend most of your time just clicking around, turning lights on and off, watching monitors, and then all of a sudden there's like a jump scare and that's how you know you're dead.
Yeah. And
so there's no real gore
that's why
in the games I've played anyway.
That's why I'm saying, though, that I wanted to play the game first, because I know that like there are some criticisms that I might make in which it could just be because I'm not familiar with the games, and like we'll get called out, like, oh, you haven't played the games.
No, I know. I'm sure we're going to get called about something.
I do respect that. So if we do that, feel free to comment. That's fine. You know what I mean? Should you be able to judge a film on its own merits just being a film? Yes.
Yeah.
But when it's like an established IP like this, there are definitely
as an
some
adaptation,
things.
are you doing it justice?
Yes.
And from what I saw, I felt like this was probably the best adaptation a game like this could get.
Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy.
I was actually pleasantly surprised. Now, the plot, because, you know, there's lore that stretches over across all these games. It's about this young guy, the guy from Hunger Games. Can't remember his name.
Peter Bread.
He kind of seems like unstable at first, or he just doesn't have his shit together.
He's kind of a loser.
He's kind of a loser. He's got a little sister. He can't hold a job down. And then you find out like he's got all this like trauma in his past where his brother was abducted. It was kind of his fault. And then his parents, you don't really know what happens with them. So he's trying to get a job so he can maintain custody over his sister. And then his aunt wants to like take the kid away just so she can cash like a fucking government check or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stupid. But so he ends up getting this job as the security guard at FREDDY'S, Fazbear's closed down pizza shop.
All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor.
And then it does really follow 5 nights of him being there and dealing with these crazy killer animatronic robots.
Yes.
And then the movie...
Demonic Chuck E. Cheese.
It did really have that great 80s feel, which I appreciated.
The training montage,
The
that training tape.
video was fantastic.
It was really well done.
That was getting some giggles out of us, but like the whole theater was enjoying it, which was nice to see considering most of the people around us were half our age.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Once the kids started like yelling and screaming, I leaned over to you and I was like,
oh, it's going to be something from the game.
No, but I was like, it's going to be one of those fucking movies, you know? But actually, I really did like the youth's enthusiasm watching this.
Same. And considering like what we were watching, I was like, yeah, I'm okay with the kids being into this.
Yeah,
if this is what they're into.
Well,
like this is
you
this
can
is
tell
not bad.
because there were things that happened in it that, since I'm not a fan of the games, they knew from the games, and they were like, it seemed like the film was paying really good fan service to them, and like I appreciated that.
Right.
Even though that's why I said I felt old, because I was just so out of it. I'm like, what are these kids cheering about? You know?
Right.
Play some golf, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Meet other people.
From a writing standpoint, I thought the story was really well crafted. Now, I mean, it was slow at times. Now, the movie did have a runtime like an hour and 40 something minutes. A little long for this type of movie. I would have been fine with 85 minutes and it would have been the same film, but they really focused a lot on Peter Bread's backstory, all his dreams, and like really getting into the lore with the dead kids and the possessions, and him like trying to go into his dreams to like find his brother's killer. I actually liked all of that, but they did do a lot of it.
I liked some of that, but I think that the problem with it is there were just lots of contrivances that happened just like he can be connected with the film's villain ultimately.
Yeah, but that kind of emerges at the end.
I know, but that's still, to me, that does take it down a notch.
Yeah, I get that.
You know,
I get that. It was too convenient at the end that it's like all connected.
There's a couple of conveniences.
Right. But just the idea of like how he was trying to search for his brother's killer, like through the thought of like, oh, you never forget anything, and if I just keep going back to the same dream, I could maybe find him. Like, I thought that was interesting. But then when like they tied in like, oh, he like the killer's been there the whole time in the movie, and you know, it's like, oh, okay, like, and he has a connection to him, and you know,
yeah,
like,
obviously this is a spoiler review.
Yeah, although yes, spoiler,
but
yes.
Fucking weirdo,
fucking Matthew Lillard
shows up
when he shows up.
Yeah, he shows up and he's so fucking weird, and it was hilarious. I thought it was just going to be a cameo or like a small character, but then the scene that he's in, he's
acting too weird. He's acting
to not
weird,
be the villain. And then he reads Peter Bread's name in the film, and like it's like he didn't say his last name or something like that, but something indicated to me that he knew who he was.
Right.
And then that's when he was going to give Peter Bread the job.
Yeah, and when he does go there, and like he's got that scene where he's talking to him on the phone. And he's like, oh yeah, the owner, like he just can't let it go. I'm like, well, obviously he's the owner. The guy's like, you know, he's like jerking off while he's talking to him on the phone about this place. So like, you know, he's gonna come back, and then when he does show up at the end as the villain, like half the theater was like, oh no, it's him. Oh, I thought it might be him. And we're just like, obviously it was him.
You basically find out that the whole thing is being orchestrated by a weirdo fucking furry.
He looks like a deranged Easter bunny.
The movie's about a pervert furry.
He's a pervert furry. That's what he is. He shows up as the yellow bunny, who's clearly like an antagonist in the games.
Kids, kills kids.
Yeah, while he's wearing a big bunny suit.
Fucking weirdo.
So this movie is not kind to the furry crowd. Out there.
Which is why I think it's only got like a 23% in Rotten Tomatoes.
That's got to be the reason why, because this movie doesn't deserve a 23%. It's got to be the secret furry critic crowd out there who's just hating on this movie.
Apparently. I guess it really struck a nerve.
It must have. You leaned over to me and said that. I was thinking like, oh, this is kind of like a warped Terminator for kids with these like animatronic things walking around going after the kids.
Yeah.
And then you were like, no, it's furry pervs. That's what it is. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Furry perv Terminator.
Yeah, it had some Terminator elements. It had some Nightmare on Elm Street elements. Mm-hmm. You know, he was getting cut up in his dream, then he'd wake up and he had the cuts.
That was kind of odd that he was getting cut up in the dreams.
See, I wasn't sure if like he was dreaming it because in real life the animatronics were cutting him.
I don't think they were. I think
I don't know.
These possessed kids, like the one hit him with the hook. And he woke up like in a locked room and he had a hook scar. It was like, so this is like, it's like a mix of all different.
Yeah, there was just some things about it where it's like, okay, what are the rules of all of this, you know? And then like Matthew Lillard's character, okay, so he kidnaps these kids, he kills these kids, puts their bodies inside these animatronics. Now they're ghosts. So I don't know if like he had anything to do with turning them into ghosts.
I don't think he did. They didn't allude to that at all.
Okay, well, I mean,
but he knew about it.
The reason why I felt like they alluded to that is because he knew about it, and also it seemed like they were under some sort of control from him. They didn't realize that he was the one that killed them. So I thought he
they like because of the picture, like they're all like, oh, they follow the big yellow bunny.
Yeah. So,
but like if he wasn't like the orchestrator of this possession, however the magic here works, then how did he know what he could and couldn't do
That's
with them?
what I mean.
He just assumed they would follow him. He knew they were the possessed kids.
He knew they were the possessed kids.
A little weird with that.
And they didn't, again, they didn't, why did they not know that he was the one that killed them?
Yeah.
Like, it took those drawings to figure out that,
yeah, she had her little moment where she like scribbles a drawing and all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was
that was a little convenient.
There were a few things like that in the plot that were annoying. And then the fact that, like, okay, so what, is Matthew Lillard just like taking all these job applicants waiting to find the kids,
right, the kid's
waiting
brother
to find the kid's brother that he killed
15 years ago or whatever?
Yeah. So
no, it seemed like it had been well thought out, and then when they got to that final third act, they were like, shit, there's a lot of unanswered questions. It's okay, just throw it all together and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah, it
so
did.
I get that. They set it up where, okay, now if he's going to die in that suit, he's going to possess that yellow bunny now, and there's your sequel right there. And if this movie makes money, which it seems like it's going to.
Based on what we saw tonight,
$25 million budget roughly. And the theater was packed. Like, when I went to go buy tickets, I was like, wait, all these shows are like packed.
I can't believe it.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, after seeing it, I'm okay with it making that.
Sure.
Because it wasn't bad.
No, I mean, again, there were things about it that annoyed me.
Oh, sure.
And the reason why I think they really annoyed me is because they did pay special attention to detail on certain things in the plot to really make it work, to make you care about the lead character, all this stuff. And then they had these contrivances on top of it that just kind of made it annoying because they crafted so many things pretty well, and then they just needed to iron, like, one more draft of the script. You know what I mean?
Right.
Iron out a couple of things.
Flesh out a few things in the end there would have made it a little better.
Yeah.
There's not many characters in the movie aside from, our main guy, the wacky evil aunt, who was what's her name?
Mary Stuart Masterson.
Yeah, Mary Stuart Masterson from Some Kind of Wonderful. That's like all I could see when I saw her.
I saw her name in the credits and I was like, that's awesome. They got her in.
Yeah.
Where the hell has she been?
Pops up. Yeah, icon of the 80s there. Yeah. There's a lot of little 80s throwbacks in there. And
I like the music a lot, the score.
The music was pretty good.
By the Newton brothers. There's some really good cues in there. Yeah, so I don't know. It did kind of have some boring parts.
It did lag a little.
It lagged, It
did.
I know it's Five Nights at Freddy's, but when he'd go home and like spend his time during the first couple of days, I don't know.
I didn't really mind any of that. It's just, because they're trying to build character and stuff. But they just did a little too much of it.
Yeah.
But it didn't really bother me, any of it. The little sister was fine. And then
she was good, actually. She was a good actress.
Tasty Beat Cop.
Tasty Beat Cop.
Yeah, she shows...
Thirsty Cop. Thirst Trap.
Thirst Trap Cop shows up, and it's like, you're just a little too hot to be a beat cop, wherever the hell this is.
You're a little too interested in this loser, too.
Yeah.
There's no way she'd be interested in him.
Right, of course. And, of course, she's got the personal connection to this place, and she's the daughter of the bunny, whatever. She was a weird kind of shoehorn character because at times she was fine, and other times she was kind of just like exposition and then trying to add in a little more like side emotion.
And mystery.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, we can get to all of this really without these weird scenes with her. I mean, I get why she was there to kind of add the context because it just confirms like what he's figuring out throughout the movie. And then of course she's got to come in and like help at the end, whatever. But it just felt like a B-tier horror movie.
Yeah, and it was successful at that.
And it was successful, right.
It got the tone right. It understood what it was.
Yeah, like if you had taken a Puppet Master movie or like a Jack Frost movie and made it today.
This is how it would look.
This is kind of what it would look like.
Yeah.
Because the movie wasn't really scary at all.
I was not freaked out.
There was
whatsoever.
nothing really that creepy in it. They try to shoehorn in a couple jump scares when you keep seeing that little thing with the balloons, whatever, which must be some little thing from the game or whatever, because people kept getting a laugh out of that. It's like, okay, seemed like the fan service was there.
But yeah, the contrivances just seemed a little bit Batman 1989 to me, where you just had to have Joker be the one that killed Batman's parents.
I get that.
You just had to you had to have the main antagonist connect with the main character somehow, and you don't need to do that.
No, you don't really need to do that because it's not really about that. I mean, he has his character arc. He realizes okay, I don't want to go back and be in this time with my little brother. I got my little sister here now, and I should be with her and look forward. That was all fine.
Yeah, that was fine.
That arc was good. You didn't necessarily need to tie him to the villain.
Yeah.
Especially when you have the cop there who is already related to him. Like, you could have just had her be tied to him. Because you've already brought her in as like a co-lead in this with the main guy. Like, she's there plenty. You know, you could have just given her that little bit. You didn't need to tie him to, but you know, small thing, but contrivance, I get it.
There's just a few too many of those that added up that kind of made it annoying to me.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite parts was when he goes in to re-up on his sleeping pills, and the guy's like, I just like some chamomile and some honey and some milk. And he
just yanks him, and the guy's like, what an asshole. Reminded me of Ghostbusters.
What an asshole.
But yeah, no, that asshole line delivery, that's up there with those movies, I think.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
It was funny. It hit.
We laughed. I think we're the only ones laughing at that.
I think we chuckled a little louder than most people because, you know, we were surrounded by children. Let's see, ranking wise, I was gonna go with a 7, but I ended up going 6.5 because of some of the contrivances you were talking about.
I thought you were gonna be at a 7. I too am at a 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think we had the same feeling about it. You know,
yeah.
It was better than we thought it was gonna be.
It's better than fucking Exorcist.
Holy shit, it was better than Exorcist.
Better than the past 3 fucking Halloween movies.
This was better than... I'd rather watch this again than Halloween Ends or Exorcist Believer.
Without question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for a PG-13 film to be better than an R-rated Exorcist movie, kudos to this team.
These are the times we're living in. The movie's not great. It's decent. It's a decent watch.
It's decent. The story, they did their diligence with the story. It just got a little sloppy at the end.
I'm glad that it exists, you know, and I feel like since the superhero genre is kind of on the, you know, the downfall right now, that
on the free fall.
What? The next thing, if they start doing these faithful video game adaptations, like the next phase might be like
the video
an
game
onslaught
movie.
of video game adaptation.
Especially if they're not that expensive to make. You're not looking at a $200 million.
If they are in the beginning, if they are successful, they might start out as like lower budget ones, and then they can start making the bigger budget ones once they see that they're commercially viable. There are so many video games out there that have really complex plots and like would be really good films.
Yeah.
But the problem is just adapting them. For some reason, whenever a screenwriter is hired to write a script for a video game adaptation, the studio, the writer, no one takes it seriously.
No, it's like they take a script that they already had written somewhere else, and then they just shoehorn it into whatever the game concept is.
Yes, and they completely miss the mark as to what the game is about.
The fact that the game creator worked on this screenplay,
that is such a phenomenal step forward.
Huge.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And I think
you can tell it's on screen.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell by the audience, by the kids in the audience, and how they were reacting.
Everyone like being so excited. You can tell that they were faithful.
Yeah, and that was honestly really cool to see. Even though I was like, what the fuck are these kids so excited about? But it was cool seeing them get excited about something.
Because if I was probably 12 years old and I got to see this ridiculous game made into this movie like this, I'd probably be super into it too.
Yeah.
Agenda. Shit, there was nothing in this movie.
0 rainbows.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was absolutely nothing.
Shocking.
No weird, like racially diverse characters.
I thought it was going to go weird when they introduced the girl's teacher.
Oh, yeah,
the black chick, because she's like, starts talking about like, oh, she expresses herself by drawing, and I'm like, where the fuck is this going?
They didn't do anything with it.
They didn't do nothing. She was just like...
She's a normal teacher.
She's a normal teacher.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, no, she expresses herself through drawing. You're the center of her drawings. You're her world. So just,
She might go home and contribute to BLM, but we didn't know because that was not part of that was none of our business.
It's none of our business.
Yes, and I was okay with that.
It's great. 0 rainbows. Shocking. Who knew?
Yeah. I also give the film sort of a pass because there was just no agenda in it.
Yeah. If there had been any agenda in this film, we'd be looking at 4.5.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
But no. Not too bad.
That's also probably why it's got currently a 25% in Rotten Tomatoes.
Exactly.
0 agenda.
Oh, there's no agenda in this movie.
There was a perfect opportunity to introduce some equitable characters. And
no, instead, you shit on furries. That's what I got out of it anyway.
They cast Matthew Lillard as a fucking furry.
Yeah, as a perv furry.
How perfect is that?
Killing kids. Well, they didn't go as far as saying he was diddling kids.
Dude, he had the glasses.
It was PG-13.
He had the glasses in the beginning.
If this was an R movie, he'd be like talking about it and stuff. So we didn't get any of that, thankfully. Anyway, we recommend it.
Yeah, check
Check
it
it
out.
out.